Welcome to another Cardano update. Like always, make sure to check out our YouTube memberships and our Patreon if you want access to all of our charts and if you want access to our daily Discord updates for only like $5 a month. And in today's video, I want to talk about something special. I want to talk about the third wave of the third wave, and what better way to do that than to start with announcing that I actually made merch for the third wave of the third wave. I've been talking about the t-shirts for probably a couple of months at this point, and we finally have the designs. We have 4 designs, and well, you can check out the link in the description. I think it's gonna be the first link in case you actually want to buy one of these things. Now, in case the t-shirts are too expensive, you can also get hoodies, which are even more expensive. Or if you don't want to pay that much for a hoodie or something else, you can get a hat or just a mug or some stickers for like $5 if you actually want to support the channel. Keep in mind, this is my only source of income from YouTube, so I don't have any sponsorships. I don't really talk about anything else other than the altcoins that I want to talk about. So if you want to support the channel and if you want to be a part of this meme, check out the t-shirts in the description. And yeah, I hope you like this video, because there's gonna be a lot of things to talk about. And well, first let's talk about the third wave of the third wave. Now, to do that, we need to understand what's actually going on, and we need to start from the bear market low, which is this one right here. I actually want to compare the structure that we're in right now to the structure that we were in the previous cycle. I know I've done that a bunch of times already, but I need to understand what's going on in order to actually get an idea of what could happen next. Now, keep in mind, in this video I will probably only focus on Cardano and not Bitcoin and Ethereum. If you want to know what I think about Bitcoin and Ethereum, check out my previous video. I think that was posted yesterday. So yeah, let's talk about the weekly chart on the Cardano chart, and I just want to start with the bear market low right here, which to me it was exactly like this low right here. As you can see, this low was at like 2 cents, and what did we do after that? We formed a 1-2 setup just like we did right here. And well, this 1-2 setup, after we got done with it, also before I actually talk about what happened after the 1-2 setup, I actually want to talk about how similar the bull market support band looked in this setup. So here, as you can see, we went down for, let's see, about 6 months, and during that time we had a cross on the bull market support band, and after the cross we did absolutely nothing for a couple of weeks. And I actually talked about this many times when I was making videos last year. The 1-2 setup here looks very similar to what we have right now, well, what we had right here. Here we also had a cross on the bull market support band. Also, the 200-day moving average was above the bull market support band, just like it was right here. And also, after we had the cross, nothing really happened for a couple of weeks. We just went sideways, and then we broke above the bull market support band and we had this huge move to the upside. Now, in the previous cycle it was a bit different, because after we started going up and after we got above the bull market support band, as you can see, we actually had a big correction, and well, this correction was actually the pandemic drop, so I would not really count this as a correction. And well, if it were up to me, I would just ignore it and maybe say that during this time, if it weren't for the pandemic, Cardano would have continued going up, and of course at some point it would have stopped, but I think it would have stopped around this place right here, maybe a bit higher. And what did we do if we ignored this right here? Well, after getting above the bull market support band, we went up in a 1-2 setup. Now, why is that important? Because in this cycle we did the exact same thing again. We had a 1-2 setup. And well, let's talk about the second 1-2 setup. What happened with this? Well, let me actually delete some of this from the chart. Okay, so basically the second 1-2 setup, as you can see, got exactly to the trend line on the chart, just like in the previous cycle. So is it a coincidence that we got to the trend line 2 times? And is it a coincidence that the structure is the exact same as the previous cycle? I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. So far, I mean, even the second 1-2 setup that we have right now on the chart looks very similar to what we had over here. So if you look at this move down, this was also a very impulsive move to the downside, and this took a bunch of, I think it actually took a couple of months. I don't really want to, actually let's check out how long it took, because why not? So if we take this, let's take the high, well actually no, let's take the Well, actually, yeah, let's take the high and let's say this right here. It took about 150 days for, Cardano to actually break above the trend line after testing it again. So let's see right now what could happen if we were to do that again. If you take this high right here, 150 days would put us in May of 2025. Now, of course, right here, you could say that maybe we actually got above the trend line about here, so 150 days. Now, if we do the exact same thing, right now, Cardano would need to get above $1.70 something in the next couple of weeks. Is that going to happen? Well, it all depends on what Ethereum does, and like I said, I'm not going to talk about Ethereum in this video. If you want to understand what's happening with Ethereum, please check out my previous video. And well, in order for Cardano to actually get a move like it got in the previous cycle, it would need to get above the bull market support band, and it would need to have a cross in the bull market support band like it did right here. Keep in mind here, we only had a cross after Cardano had a move above the bull market support band. And even though we had a move above the bull market support band, as you can see, the next couple of weeks after that, we actually tested it multiple times and we waited for a cross in the bull market support band. So I think I said the words bull market support band too many times already, but it doesn't really matter. And right now we kind of need to do the exact same thing. We actually have to break above the bull market support band. As you can see, we are exactly at the trend line on the weekly RSI, and we have to break above this very soon, because if we do not, then the structure is going to change and we might even get some type of triple bottom, because it has, we already got rejected right here, for example, by the moving average on the weekly. So what we need to do is get above it, and once we get above it, that should put us above the bull market support band, and then we'll most likely have to test it, and we'll also test the bull market support band as well. And then after that, we could start the third wave of the third wave, just like we did in the previous cycle. I don't know if you can see this, but here we formed another 1-2 setup. So basically we were in a 1-2-1-2-1-2 setup, and right now you could say that we are working on the exact same thing again, except it's a bit different. It's not the exact same, however it is very similar to what we had over here. So it's a 1-2-1-2, and now we should start working on the third 1-2 setup, and that's gonna be the 1-2 setup of the third wave of the main third wave. And after we do that, we're gonna get the third wave of the third wave of the third wave, and I want to talk about the targets for that. Now, in the previous cycle, of course, Cardano pretty much ignored all of the targets because it was pretty much going insane. Now, if you were to actually look at how much Cardano went up in the third wave of the third wave, I checked this on my own. I believe it got to the 300% extension of the 1-2 setup here, which is obviously insane. And well, maybe you want to ignore that. Maybe you actually want to completely ignore what happened here and take this as the bear market low. If you were to do that, and if you were to check out where the third wave, the main third wave got to after this 1-2 setup, let's actually check this out. I have not actually checked this on my own, so let's actually press some buttons here, and it got above the 1618, it got above the, did not get above the 2618, it got pretty much to the 200% extension, and of course the main third wave is up there, so maybe to the 2.272 extension. Let's see. Yeah, about at the, let's say 2.272 extension, somewhere between the 200% extension and the 2.272 extension. That's where the third wave topped. That's why I think that in this cycle it's pretty much gonna be the exact same. The third wave, the main third wave, will most likely top between the 200% extension and the 2.272 extension. Now, keep in mind, there's going to be some resistance at the 1618, obviously, and that's at like $1.81. I don't think the main third wave is going to finish here. It's highly unlikely, to be honest. I mean, it's going to look like the worst 1-2-3 setup in existence. I don't think that's going to happen. And honestly, Cardano is not really known for having bad structures on the chart, so I'm actually expecting something like this. And well, we have to keep in mind, like I said, there's going to be resistance at $1.81, but the target, for at least for me, for the main third wave is between $2.98 and $4.25. Now, there's something else you need to know. If you actually, don't count on the 200% extension of this 1-2 setup right here, and you look at the 1.618 extension of the previous all-time high, as you can see in the previous cycle, Cardano actually got exactly to the 1.618 extension, and then it got rejected, and that was a fourth wave move down. So this makes me wonder if in this cycle it's gonna be the exact same. The 1.618 of the previous 2021 all-time high, it's at $5.30, which means that if we actually do what we did in the previous cycle, the third wave could completely ignore the first couple of resistance levels right here and go straight to $5.30, and then we could get some kind of fourth wave move down, and the fifth wave move up could theoretically put us at like $8. Maybe not $8, maybe $7, maybe $6, but somewhere in that region, and honestly I think it's very, very possible. Now to get there we have to talk about the third wave of the third wave. Where could that go? And like I said a couple of minutes ago, the third wave of the third wave is the most impulsive, and in the previous cycle, as you can see, I mean, we went from like 12.5 cents all the way up to like $1.50 in a matter of, what was this, about 2 months. So that's why everybody's waiting for the third wave of the third wave right now, because it's the most impulsive. And I have something new on the chart that I have not talked about, at least not yet, and that is the target for the third wave of the third wave. I took the extensions of the 1-2 setup here, and well, the minimum target for a third wave of a third wave is $3.50. That's the bare minimum, that's the 1.618. Of course, there's also the 200% extension on the chart, but I'm honestly gonna get rid of that because I think that's way too high for a third wave of a third wave. So this right here, $3.50, this could be exactly where the third wave could top, then we could get a fourth wave move down. I'm talking about the third wave of the third wave, by the way. And well, after we actually, maybe if we get to these levels, the fourth wave move down could actually test the trend line. And then after we test the trend line, we could use it as support and get a fifth wave of the third wave right here, which could theoretically, like I said, at least when you look at what happened in the previous cycle, put us above $5.30. Now, keep in mind, this is the best case scenario. Well, not really the best case scenario, but it's definitely a bullish scenario. And there are obviously some bearish scenarios as well. But this is actually how I see the cycle going, and honestly, if we do exactly this, I would not really be surprised. So let me actually recap what I said in case you got confused. The third wave of the third wave, the target for that is $3.50. Then we go down in a fourth wave move down, and then the fifth wave move up should put us at like $5.30 to finish the main third wave right there. However, you have to keep in mind there's going to be resistance at the 1.618 of the 1-2 setup here, at the 200% extension, and at the 2.272 extension, so please do not forget that. And also remember, we don't have to do exactly what we did in the previous cycle. Now, even if we do not do what we did in the previous cycle, I think Cardano will still hit at least like $5, and I think it's gonna happen, by the end of the second week of June, unless we actually don't start going up and unless Bitcoin actually starts going sideways again, which I don't really see happening. So I talked about the summer drop scenario in yesterday's video. If you want to know more about that, check it out. And well, this is what I think Cardano will do in the next couple of months. Now, please do not forget, I mean, I called this 1-2 setup here like 9 months ago. I also have a video about that, but I even posted something about it on the Discord server. I mean, as you can see, when we were in the main 1-2 setup, I had a 1-2 setup of the third wave already on the chart, and the first wave move up got exactly to $1.30, and the second wave move down got exactly to like 50 cents, just like in the image right here. And back then Cardano was at like 35 cents. So I think I know what I'm talking about. Of course, maybe I don't. So far I have been pretty accurate about Cardano, so I hope this is gonna continue happening. And what we need to do right now, like I said, is get above the bull market support band and then get above the 0.618 resistance level of the previous all-time high. I have not mentioned this yet in this video, but yeah, there's going to be resistance here. We already got rejected a bunch of times. And once we get above that, I think the third wave of the third wave is gonna be very, very fun. And of course, when it does happen, if it does happen, people are going to start FOMOing and they are going to be buying Cardano at like $5 again. And Also, please do not forget, I mean, even if I'm expecting Cardano to get like $5 to $8 by the end of the cycle, that does not mean that it's gonna stay there forever. We're still gonna get a bear market after that, and we're most likely going below $1 again during the bear market. I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, when we look at the previous two bear markets, Cardano, I mean, here it went from like $1.35 all the way down to like not even like 2 cents. And in this cycle, we went from $3.10 all the way down to like 22 cents. So even if we get to like $8 by the end of the bull market, I still think we're going below $1 again after that. So that's why I think that you should not really hold your altcoins during the bear market, because most of them are going to go down like 90%. Of course, not financial advice, but based on what happened in the couple of cycles, before the cycle, I mean, maybe it's safe to assume that this time will not be any different, and maybe people are just full of themselves, and whoever thinks that this cycle is gonna be different, well, maybe you just need to look at the charts more, because this cycle so far, it's the exact same as the previous cycle. So that's all I have for this video. Like I said, check out the memberships and also check out the merchandise and the t-shirts and hoodies and what we have here, hats and stickers and mugs and stuff like that. And of course, we don't have to check this out if you don't want to. This is just for fun. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.